Hi, I'm Jonathan, one of the partnership consultants with Platinum Property Partners. Today we're going to be talking about our Affinity programme, which combines the benefits of owning a property portfolio with the flexibility of somebody within our network operating that on your behalf. I'm joined today with Sharon and Ritu, so if you could introduce yourselves and let us know how long you've been with Platinum, that would be fantastic.
So my name's Ritu Sharon and I joined Platinum Partners probably 5 years ago with my brother, so we've just joined the alumni now.
Excellent.
I'm Sharon Miles, joined PPP 2.5 years ago with my husband, and yeah, we're the Affinity Partner.
So Sharon, you joined as an Affinity Partner. It'd be great to understand what it was that prompted you to go down that route.
So I think from a business proposition perspective, we always thought PPP makes sense. It's a good way to create residual income for ourselves. However, small kids, working full-time myself and my husband both work in the city, we have zero time, absolutely no time at all. So we were thinking, well, how can we do this when we have no time? So this is where the Affinity side came in, where we can use the help and support from another partner who knows what they're doing, build up our property portfolio over time, and then once we do have more time and our kids have grown up a little bit more, we can then step back in when appropriate.
So Ritu, what was it that interested you in supporting Sharon and Martin on their property journey?
Well, we've had 5 years with PPP now, and so we're on our fourth property, and it was for us looking for another source of income. You get to a point where cash is quite tight, so looking at alternatives. And I think also the great motto of PPP is, be more, do more and give more. And I think one of the ethos is helping, and all the knowledge we've built over the last 5 years to help other franchise partners build their portfolio as well.
Okay. So Ritu, what context of involvement do you have with the portfolio for Sharon and Martin?
Well, it's pretty much been the whole end-to-end process. So post-acquisition, we were very much involved with both Martin and Sharon in terms of understanding the property, looking at the floor plans, looking at different layouts, and then we moved on to the phase of actually helping select builders, of course, speaking with Sharon and Martin simultaneously to make sure they were comfortable. Yeah. Because the key thing for the Affinity Partnership is to have the level of trust that you can work with somebody, and I think we had an initial meeting to gauge whether we got on and we enjoyed working together, which was I think a big part of it. And then from there we sort of took over the project management, so everything from getting the builders in, getting all the work done, all the way through to refurb, and finally through the letting side of it, which we also do.
So Sharon, what's the specific area that's really helped with the Affinity Partnership?
I think there's a couple of key areas. I think one is in terms of the HMO world, it's slightly different to just renovating a house. There's laws and licensing and planning and all that stuff that is quite intricate, sometimes a little bit scary, and having the knowledge and experience from Ritu and Himal has just been brilliant. So we don't have to worry about that sort of thing. I think also in terms of knowing what to refurb and which ways to do it, so what do you get from certain places, what's the best suppliers, just general local knowledge as well about what works well, what doesn't. That's been absolutely invaluable for me.
So the goal was to originally free up some time, so it'd be great to hear how that's worked out in practice and what stage we're at the moment.
Okay, so with our first property, probably I got a little bit more involved in that across sort of the 6 months of finding the property, getting it up and running and built and getting it let out, I think probably, if I was being completely honest about it, maybe 4 or 5 full-on weekends. But those were distributed over the 6 months. I think going into an Affinity Partnership, you do still have to be in communication a lot, which is via text or email, which is fine. But then there are times when we want to understand each other's design layouts and things like that. So you do need to go and spend a day in IKEA or spend a day at B&Q together to get to know each other a bit better. But I'd say across the actual doing up of a property and getting it let, there's probably 5 or 6 full-on weekends in total that I've had to get involved and my husband's been involved. But I think as the second property matured through, because we did the first one a little bit more closely together, much less. Right. So again, we do step in when these guys have a holiday, which they're allowed to have, or family and life gets in the way. But that's the understanding we have from one another. You jump in, you take over, you step back again. But for me, the key, and Ritu's already said this, is the trust that we've built up over time, being honest and open about our communication, and also being in regular communication. I think that it almost doesn't go a week go by where we're not texting one another about something. But then it means it doesn't go into something big and nasty.
Okay.
So it's really worked well that way.
And I'd echo that point. I think regular communication is really important to make sure that relation carries on. And as you say, come the second project, it's been a bit more light touch, but I think you also understand how each other work. And we were talking earlier about, understanding each other's style preference in terms of no surprises when you're doing up a refurb. So I think that's all very important. And I guess what Himal and I bring to this is having experience of having done property for 20 years. We know the market. Himal's very good at project management, really understands all the regulation and the details, which I think really helps you in terms of having that trust in delegating that to us as well.
Great. So we've worked on, it's 2 properties now?
We're on to number 3 at the minute. Yes, just kicking that one off. So yes.
Great. And what's the future plan?
So I think with number 3, I've not actually seen it. Interestingly, number 2, my husband never saw it. Me and Himal went and did that viewing on our own and washed our hands because it's pretty grubby inside afterwards together. And number 3, I've not seen it. But again, we know that Himal and Ritu are involved, so we just trust one another on that process. I think we just keep going and see where we go from that. But I think we certainly are always talking about other investment opportunities together, or also the links that Ritu and Himal have been able to give us of local franchise partners as well, and there are opportunities we're looking in terms of letting opportunities. Can somebody do multiple properties for us as an example? So we just see how it goes, but it's going well so far.
Brilliant. So are you both pleased with how the Affinity programme is working?
Absolutely. From my perspective, I think it's been a great experience, and I think, learning along the journey together and building great friendships through that. I think, the great thing about PPP is it's not only about buying HMOs, it's really building that network and learning and working together on things. So I think I'm excited for the future.
Great. And Sharon?
Oh, 100%. I think from our first coffee together, it's a bit like blind date. Is this going to work? And we clicked immediately then. I think our quick coffee ended up an hour and a half long, just chatting about our lives in general. We've made some good friendships. We trust each other so much. And I have zero doubts about doing this. I think from a personal perspective of my husband and I's objective, we're certainly on goal with what we plan to do. Our plans for the future are still on track, which is great, but we couldn't have done that without the help of Ritu and Himal. So, we have to acknowledge the support that they've given us, which has been amazing. And certainly for anyone who's thinking about the Affinity Partnership approach or PPP, but just think, I haven't got enough time, or I'm a bit worried about our knowledge, do it. Do it through the Affinity route, because it was certainly worked for us.
Excellent. And if that is of interest, we have a number of people that have expressed an interest to help you build your portfolio on your behalf. So please do drop us a line and we can have a discussion as necessary.